Say I won't. I might do it just to show you. Whoa, I might do it just to show you. I might do it just to show you.
Hello and welcome to the Salamander Society. This is the Sports Entertainment Salamander, here to talk about the 2016 WWE Draft. We're going to talk predictions. We're even going to talk some possible returns, some general managers, and such other things. So let's get to it. First, what I'm going to get to is general manager. For Raw, I'm going to go ahead and go with Stephanie McMahon / The Authority. There's no doubt this is going to happen. This is what they're pointing towards. And I could see Triple H coming back at any time, jumping in with an occasional appearance, and maybe an occasional appearance with Vince. I definitely feel they should revamp The Authority if they're going to bring it back. I think it was a little stale there for a while, and it's always been kind of stale after the first month of it. And for SmackDown, let's go ahead and go with Shane, because that's the only other choice, obviously. And no doubt that here either, this is probably going to happen. It's the whole idea, since Shane has come back into the WWE, is that he gives these guys who don't normally get opportunities, those opportunities. And the younger guys mostly, and that's what SmackDown is probably going to be centered around, is the younger guys and the NXT guys and stuff like that. And I predict that Shane will be very entertaining, and he will thrive in this environment of SmackDown. He's already pretty entertaining, but he's become a little stale since coming in. That first month that he was here, he was really hot, and basically the Raw after WrestleMania is when it started to kind of go downhill. But I could see him being very entertaining in that. Those are the general managers. Not much talk there. Let's go on to the titles. We all know that with Raw, the WWE title is going to stay there. They're already hinting it because this past week on Raw, they called it the WWE title instead of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll see how it goes from then. From there, and SmackDown is it's one of two things. It's going to be the World Heavyweight Championship. They're going to bring it back, or they're going to make up a title, which seems to be the way they're going as far as what the internet is saying. It's likely that they're going to bring back the World Heavyweight Championship. It's equally likely, actually. They're going to bring back the World Heavyweight Championship, or they can make their own title. What people have been saying is they're going to just copy the WWE title right now and just put blue instead of red trim on it. Now moving on to commentary for Raw. This is where I differ with a lot of the other podcasters out there. Raw, Cole and JBL are alright to me. They're not that bad. I can bear them. And I love Lawler as a babyface, so I see him joining in with them. So Michael Cole as the straight man, and then JBL as the heel, and Jerry the King Lawler as a face. On SmackDown is Mauro Ranallo, and he's great. And I'm really looking forward to SmackDown because of that he's a part of that. And Byron Saxton, this is just because they aren't going to get rid of Byron Saxton. The most they're going to do is bump him down to SmackDown. He's going to remain a face, and this is where it kind of goes off the reservation, and that's Corey Graves. I see him coming in as a SmackDown commentator, and that's going to be great because he's a great heel commentator. My predictions for that are Mauro will thrive. Obviously, he's great. Saxton, meh. He might do pretty good. He might not do pretty good, which I'm betting on the latter of that. Graves is awesome. I love his commentary on NXT. It's great, and I'm trying to evenly distribute talent as far as general managers, announcers, actual draft picks. I'm trying to evenly distribute, but I'm way more excited for this SmackDown branch off, and I'm kind of done with Raw. I'll watch it, but I'm really excited for SmackDown. And that's the commentary teams. Let's move on to the draft picks. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do the top 5 men singles, And then I'm going to do top 3s for tag and women's singles. So for Raw, I'm going to give 5 men's singles, 3 tags, and 3 women's singles. And for SmackDown, the same thing. Let's go with Raw first. Let's just take the men's singles first. Or no, let's go to the bottom for the women's singles first. Number 1 would be Charlotte for Raw. Number 1 for SmackDown, Natalya. Number 2 for Raw, Sasha Banks. And number 2 for SmackDown, Becky Lynch. Number 3 for Raw is going to be someone. And I think that I would think it's going to be a NXT call-up. Just like my 3rd pick for SmackDown, which is going to be Bayley. So just overviewing this a little bit, Charlotte and Sasha Banks, I put them as the first 2 picks of Raw because they're about to start a feud here. They're about to start a feud over the title. And I put Natalya and Becky Lynch on the other side because Natalya and Becky Lynch are starting a feud now. And Bayley can just be thrown in there, and they could bring up some more NXT talent that they have, minuscule talent, to put her even more over. And then she could, I don't know how they're going to do the titles with that. I don't know if they're going to jump over the other show to try and get the title and bring it back to SmackDown or something like that. I'm not sure on that. So let's go to the tags next, the tag teams. And the number 1 pick for Raw, I have the New Day. And number 1 pick for SmackDown, I have Enzo and Cass. Number 2 for Raw, I have the Wyatt family. Number 2 for SmackDown, I have a surprise one, and it's the American Alpha. Number 3 for Raw, I have the Lucha Dragons. And number 3 for SmackDown, I have the Club. And you'll see why I'd put the Club on SmackDown later on. The New Day and the Wyatts are about to start a feud. They have already started it this past week on Raw and the week before that. So they've gotten into a feud here lately. And Enzo and Cass, American Alpha, the Club, they're great. And they probably couldn't bring the Jobber Club, whatever you call them now, over there to feud with Enzo and Cass like they have been. Now we get into the men's singles, and it gets really interesting here. And I have number 1 for Raw, Roman Reigns, and you're going to learn fast with me that I'm alright with Roman Reigns. I don't like him, I don't love him, but I'm alright with him. He's an alright performer. He just needs to learn how to talk. Number 1 for SmackDown, John Cena. And he's got to be a number 1 pick. And so I put him over there in SmackDown. Number 2, Seth Rollins. Put him over there on Raw. Number 2 for SmackDown, AJ Styles. Number 3 for Raw, Dean Ambrose. And you kind of see what I'm doing there with Raw. Number 3 for SmackDown, Sami Zayn. Number 4 for Raw, Cesaro. Number 4 for SmackDown, Kevin Owens. Number 5 for Raw, Finn Balor. And number 5 for SmackDown, Shinsuke Nakamura. And this is where it kind of gets weird. At the end you can see there, but let's start at the top. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, the first 3 picks for Raw. Obviously, I put them there because they're about to do the Shield triple threat. They're about to feud with them, probably going into SummerSlam or Night of Champions right after that. John Cena and AJ Styles are feuding, and I threw the Club down there in SmackDown because AJ Styles is in SmackDown. You can't split them up. You've got Cesaro. I see him as a sleeper going before Sami Zayn or before Kevin Owens there. And obviously Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens needed to go to SmackDown to the same one because they're feuding right now. And Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura are feuding. And I think if they can do something really cool with this, when they split up, one of them can think because they split up they're not going to feud anymore, but they're actually meeting on SmackDown and feuding. Or not SmackDown, but NXT and feuding. So they can do a weird angle there, but it could end up awesome. So those are my little draft picks there. And just to close this out is some possible returns. Number 1 is Goldberg. And this is very likely, as most of you know, if you're a wrestling fan, that he showed up on the 2K16. And what the internet says is highly likely that we're going to get at least one match from Goldberg. And he could return here near SummerSlam.